Just the top one right there. Or that one, or this one too. Yep, there you go. That should go. There you are, Chad. Woo! Settle down. I was excited.
So here Troy is just cleaning up the exhaust manifolds, getting her ready for reassembly. These carbon up really bad, so they have to be cleaned really carefully. So we're using a soft wire brush, and then he's going to use a more aggressive wire brush, which you'll see here in a moment. And that's going to pull all the large carbon chunks and just kind of, you know, they kind of rust and kind of get that scale built up. So that's going to pull all that off. And you can see he's just doing the fine stuff right now, and then he's going to switch to the more aggressive here in a minute. So here he's just checking over his work, making sure he's got everything nice and clean. He's gonna, you know, a couple more spots he's got to get done. So here you can see Troy's just going through with a scraper. He's scraping up all the crap that kind of builds up on there. He's getting all the gasket material off, making sure that he can just clean it up nice. This is so that, you know, when he puts all his gaskets back on, they're going to seal nice. They're not going to have stuff holding them out. And, yeah. He'll probably go over it with the fine wire brush again. You got to be somewhat careful on these. They got an aluminum block, aluminum oil pan, that kind of thing. So like an aggressive wire brush can actually take a little bit too much material and cause a little bit of damage. So you don't want to go too crazy. So here he's blowing out all the head bolt holes, making sure there's no oil or brake clean or debris material in the threads, so that when we torque our head down, it's going to come down nice and even and clean. He's already cleaned the deck surface by hand and made sure it's like all good and polished. Not very exciting to watch, to be honest, but ooh. That's a coolant passage. Yep, better clean that up, Troy. So we kind of skipped ahead. We didn't really have the video rolling when we set the head down onto the deck, but it's really just lifted into place. Lay the head gasket down. Now he's just getting all his bolts and everything cleaned up, put in place. They all get a wet, I believe these are a wet torque. If I'm wrong, comment in the section, I don't know. I'm a heavy duty guy. This is Troy. He's our automotive tech, so he would know better, but I do the voiceovers, so that's what it is. Here he's torquing them all down. Super exciting, click. Actually, this one makes a beep, but, Yeah, they all have to go in sequence, so you have to tighten the bolt in a step torque, and then in a certain pattern. So the head, because it's aluminum, it can actually warp as you're torquing it down, so we want to make sure we torque it down in sequence as per the manufacturer. They're actually quite picky how it gets done. It has to be done a very specific way. And yeah, you can see him, he's kind of bouncing around going as per the procedure. So now we're getting all our rockers in place. We're going to start getting the cams in. You can see him lubing them all up with the luber plate. That's assembly grease for engines. We don't want anything running dry ever. And here comes the cams. We're going to get those in. They're going to get torqued down to spec. Again, as per manufacturer. I don't know the spec. Hopefully he did. So here he is, hand tightening everything, and there's got his fancy torque wrench again. He's tightening them all down to spec. Turns out he did know the spec. And here he goes. Here's Troy putting on the timing chain. He's just lining everything up, make sure our timing's in order. And here we go. Front cover time. This cover actually took us quite a bit, like a fair bit of time, because it was actually really difficult to get into place. The oil pump gear just did not want to line up. It, you know, you see Troy fighting with it. He kind of takes it on and off and cleans it again, puts it back on, fights with it. Take it off, put it on. Still wouldn't go. So then he came and got me. I crawled underneath. You know, I took a good look, fought with it myself for a few minutes, and then managed to get it on. It just, you know, didn't want to go. It was just being difficult. This is why mechanics have such great patience, is because we deal with every day that just it should work. It just doesn't. Oh, there it goes. Just clink, just, you know, fought with it for 2 hours and then clink, falls into place. Just tightening up and torquing up that front cover. And starting to get studs in, water pump, all kinds of giblets. So the rest of this is pretty straightforward. He's just going to start reassembling everything else. He's going to put the intake back on, the valve cover, the exhaust manifolds, of course with all new gaskets and everything. Everything's been checked with a straight edge to make sure we don't have any sealing issues and things like this. In a second here, we're going to see us try to start it for the first time. And as with any major job, we forgot to put up the sensor. And it started, but it didn't run quite right. It didn't sound very good. So here's our second startup after we found that sensor. And it was a temperature sensor, if I remember. It wasn't reading the engine temp, so it kept trying to overfuel. So we thought we had a timing issue. Troy goes in here, uses his computer, checks some, you know, digitations and whatnot, and diagnosed it pretty quick. You know, changed that sensor, got it started, and she ran like a top.
I'm not touching the throttle.
That sounds better.
I plugged in the coolant sensor.
Oh,
Now it knows its temperature.
so it was reading that it was overheating.
It was, well, with the coolant sensor unplugged, it's going to be minus 44, so it's going to be like, don't start shit.
Well, it's going to dump fuel and it's going to retard your timing for easier starting.
And then I'll do that right after. Beautiful. That actually sounds okay.
Sounds not bad.
Start that first time because I had the coolant temperature sensor unplugged. So with it unplugged, the vehicle's going to think it's like minus 45 just because that's its low bottom range. And if it thinks it's minus 45 when it's plus 20, it's not going to work too well on its idle. Timing's going to be off. It's going to be dumping more fuel than it's supposed to. But yeah, I plugged it back in. It runs fine now. Yeah.